Hi guys, this is Kurt and today we are the 16th of May 2018. So it's been exactly 2 years and a couple of days post-operation after I've done my implant surgery for the FineVision the Micro F 24D. So today I would like to give you an update. If you want to know more on how the surgery went and the entire procedure before the procedure, how the procedure itself went and how the post-operation was, like a few days after the operation, a couple of months after the operation until last year, you can check my last video from last year, which actually gives a little bit of a summary, but I'm not gonna talk about what happened before what happened last year. So I'm just gonna talk to you now about the surgery post-operation actually between year 1 and year 2. So the last year, what did happen and how has been my vision over the past year. So a little disclaimer before I continue with the video. One thing that I just want to make very clear is that I'm not responsible for any operation that you might do because of my videos. I'm just a patient, okay, and I'm just a person who had this operation. It was successful for me, so I've been very blessed to have my new eyes implanted. Yeah, so I'm just giving some experience about what happened and how things went, and me as a patient, what I can experience and how is my vision between 1 year post-operation and 2 year post-operation in this particular video. If you want to watch the other videos, have a look in my channel. Also, before I continue to talk about the rest and about the difference in vision in the last 12 months, please, if you would mind, use this particular comment section and use it as a forum. So if you would like to ask other people about your operation that you have done or an operation you're planning to do, just post it into this comments section. Come back into the comments section. Let this be a little forum for people who want to exchange information about the trifocal implant lenses only. So the the FineVision, the Micro F 24D lenses were implanted on the 12th of May 2016. We're 2 years further, and how has my vision changed regarding far sight, intermediate sight and short sight between 12 months and 24 months post-operation. First of all, the short vision. Well, since I have had the operation, I have not had any need to use any spectacles. I always put my smartphone letters here on the smallest possible letters that I can actually have on my OnePlus smartphone. So I have no problem at all to see any kind of print, to read any kind of print, text or whatsoever. So my vision for just print reading is just perfect. Sometimes I have these very small little tiny boxes with some print on there, and I don't seem to have any issue at all to read anything that's printed on there. And I've got people coming to me asking me, like, Kurt, can you help me read this or read that, because they are unable to read it. So that's really a bonus. Now let me just talk about also screens. So as I told you, for my computer and smartphone, I always put the brightness of both computer and smartphone to the maximum, unless I'm watching at a screen in a very dark environment and it's at night and I don't want to tire my eyes too much. I just dim the brightness to the point where I still have perfect vision. Something that has improved over time in the past 12 months is contrast. So I do remember when about 1 year ago, I still had a little bit of a blurs. If you have a black background and some white letters, I still had some kind of a blur or white shade around the printed letters with a black background. Actually, it's just the white letter contrast that was fading out into the black and the black background. That seems to be gone. And just before I made this video, actually last night, I tried to perceive if I can still see any of kind of fog or blurriness or whatever next to these different letters, and I don't see anything anymore. So this is completely gone. And I do remember right after the operation that I could clearly see a letter on the left, a letter on the right, which was less bright, and I had this triple vision that I had of the print on very black background with white letters, and also very contrast rich letters with the background. You had this, you know, blurred vision. So that's completely gone. So that's really a very big bonus. So yeah, for short vision, another thing I would say is that, so I never needed spectacles. The only moment I needed spectacles when I was working on this SJ cam. So give you a little background. The SJ cam here is the SJ 5000X Elite. It does not come with a headphone jack, and I had to actually build a headphone jack into this camera. And I really needed a lot of light to do this operation on the camera. So because of the bright light that I shine on the camera object, where you actually have the soldering parts and the bolts and the nuts and all this kind of silver components, it does give also some kind of a star shine. So you still have a little bit of you know, light that shines back. So for that reason, and also because it's very, very small, these are very, very microscopic components, that's the only moment I had to use magnifying glasses. But I think anybody who is doing this kind of work will probably need magnifying glasses because it's so small. So yeah, that's the short vision. So as far as the intermediate vision, when I'm talking about intermediate vision, I'm talking about the vision from 60 centimeters up to 2 meters. And still I have that little soft spot I spoke about in previous videos. Okay, let me just go for the objects that are 2 meters away from my face. And when I'm looking at televisions, again, I do see a improvement in contrast perception. Now, how did I see and notice this? We don't own a OLED TV or one of these flat screen, high definition TVs. But when I go to the shop, and I went to the electronic shops and go and have a look at the OLED TVs and the high full HD, what is it, TVs, the 4K TVs. I remember still last year, it was a little bit like blurred around very sharp edges. So when you had like white and black, or very highlighted red with black in the background or something like that, you could see that there was some coloring going and fading into the section where actually the 2 points meet. And this is something I barely notice nowadays. And I really am there, like in front of the television, like, wow, this image is so beautiful. And it's partially, of course, because of its the technology, the OLED TV and the full HD and the 4K vision that it generates, but also because my eyes have become better. So there has been, like, I would say 15-20% improvement in the contrast perception in my vision. I was also talking in previous videos that when I was going to the shopping mall or to the supermarket, One of the issues that I had still last year is that when I'm looking at the price tags that are on the products or on the shelves, I could very clearly see the price because they printed in very big, in huge numbers and letters. But if you're talking about the description, we have actually a script that is approximately the same as a normal newspaper script. And I was actually getting trouble with the soft spot. Now, there are two reasons why in this supermarket shop it is difficult, because first of all, you get only artificial light. And the second reason is that the lighting conditions in this environment is not good. And if I just take this smartphone here and I've got the very small printed letters and I keep it like this away, I can still read it without a problem. And as I told you, I've got the print set really at the lowest possible size that I can have on my smartphone. So no problem, I can read everything perfectly. Just, you know, when I keep my arm stretched out and I just look at my smartphone, it's perfect, it's wonderful. So just as I told you, my smartphone is always at the highest possible contrast. So yeah, this guy, he suffers from battery draining very quickly because I love to have my smartphone at the highest possible contrast all the time. I think it has to do also with my operation. So you really like and try to find a comfort to have the highest contrast possible, because you lose some contrast during the surgery or with the surgery. Okay, so that's the shopping thing. Another thing that I was talking in previous videos is about the weather station that is in my room. And the weather station is illuminated numbers. They must have maybe like half a centimeter of size, and my bed is about 3.5 meters away from that particular display, and I can clearly read what's on the display of this weather station, even when I have very low contrast letters printed on there, because it has a black background, it has different colors. I think the white or black is very, very visible. Then you got greenish, and then you got a couple of letters that are in red, which are actually the temperature, the minimum temperature or something like that. And the red actually is the most difficult part to read. And I think I remember last year that I still had difficulties to actually read the low contrast red-black background. But that's okay now, so I can read it perfectly. So again, I look at an improvement in my vision of about 20% or 15 to 20%, maybe 20. Yeah, I wouldn't go further than 20%. I wouldn't go lower than 15%, especially when I'm talking about the contrast. Regarding the far vision, I can see all the objects very, very far, very clearly. There is, electricity, what is it called? Over there you see the street lights, and there are cables in between the street lights. It's probably not visible on the camera, but that's perfectly visible for me right now. There is another point I want to show you, and it's pretty interesting to see that. Let me just try to grab everything and position the camera and show you. So it's another point where I actually keep an eye on all the time. Okay, there you are. This is where I normally sit. And if you look on the opposite side of the street, you see this street light. And there are numbers printed in with a yellow background and the black letters. And that was completely blurred out, especially right after the surgery. But once I got the surgery done, the vision of these letters and these numbers printed on the street light pole, they became more and more visible. So now it's like, piece of cake. I can see these numbers very clearly. It's like very easy for me. And when I ask, for example, my family members if they can read it, and none of them, they can read it when they come and sit at my spot. So that is certain. So yeah, Another thing that I would like to discuss when I'm looking at far objects is the stars. Okay, when you look at the stars, and I remember last year, one thing that I had last year and what I noticed last year about 12 months ago, when I was watching the moon. Around the moon, you actually had some glow that surrounds the moon. So it's like, you know, when you have a light source and it is misty, you actually have a light source and you get some mist that has been lightened up by the light source. It's a little bit the same that I still had last year with the perception of the moon. That is gone. So I can, when it's very dark and the moon is really fully moon, I can see the moon very clearly. Maybe there is a little bit of fog around the moon, but it's really minimal. And I think if the fog is there, it's probably caused by, not by my eyes, but probably by other stuff like moisture in the sky. So that is really, really good. So that's about far vision, very far. When I look at shorter vision, cars that are driving right in front of me, yes, I had glare and stars when I was looking still last year, when I was looking at the rear light, the red rear light of cars. It was very minor about 12 months ago, but now it's completely gone. So I don't see this glow anymore. I don't see these stars that comes out of the light source of the rear light of the cars. On the other hand, when you have the car that is coming to you with the front light turned on, I still see the glares that comes with the car light source, so with the spotlights or the front lights. And also there is still some mist around the lights. So even after 2 years, I still have this perception. But it seems to be less, or maybe not. That's actually something right now I don't really dare to tell you that I see it has decreased. But on the other hand, I get used to it. So that's another thing. When I drive through the tunnel that is lighted up with, influorescent lights, I did really have problems about a year ago, but that's gone. And I was feeling very uncomfortable going in this artificial lighted up environments, even like a shop. But I don't feel uncomfortable anymore. So I guess it's also maybe that I get used to it. I'm not sure, or really there has been some neuro adaptation. What happened between last year and this year? It's difficult to say. So, the thing is, after 2 years, you start to forget how was your vision before you had the surgery. And maybe it's the fact that you forget how your vision was before the surgery, that the neuro adaptation is also just kicking off completely. So, because, the neuro adaptation and your brain is really functioning in a certain way. But when you get to the point that you forget on how your vision was before, you probably also start to get a better perception through the brain. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about is the night fall. So when the night falls, and I remember very clearly last year when the night falls, or when the night was falling, it didn't really feel very well, and I didn't really like the fact that the night was falling. So when you are between night and daytime and nighttime, you can see the night or the light around you dimming, and your pupils are still pretty wide open, and you actually have all these impulses, and it's like an overload to your brain. And people who have done this operation, they should maybe understand that it's still a little bit like an overload of your brain. The bad feeling that you get when you have this vision, when it starts to get dark, I think it has to do with really an overload of your brain, because you get so many impulses. The iris is still open widely, so you're using more and more of these different circles of that trifocal lens, so the brain needs to filter more and more. And this actually has gone. It's very rare these days that I actually feel uncomfortable when night is falling. So I really don't notice it anymore. Where in the beginning, especially the first year, up to even 1 year, I felt like, you know, it's very uncomfortable. It doesn't really feel very well. And I saw even a post to one of my subscribers that she or he wanted to have the lenses removed because she felt so bad just by using these lenses. And that's why I tell you, when you have these lenses implanted, give it time. You absolutely need to give it time. And it's only after 2 years, and if you really consider of taking away your lenses again, it's really something you should decide, not like 6 months post-operation or 8 months post-operation. It's something you should decide 2 years post-operation, because that's where the neuroadaptation stage is really at the last part of its neuroadaptation stage. So it's something like, you know, you're getting used to your new eyes. You're getting used to your new perception that you have around you and with your new eyes. Okay, that's it. Now, as I told before, please use this comment section as a very informative and also as a forum if you want to talk about the trifocal lenses. I'm talking about the FineVision Micro F plus 24D lenses. If you want to talk about other lenses, just go ahead and write and put it in here. Come back on a regular basis to this part in this video. Don't write more comments on the previous videos, because I think it is more interesting to have a blank page and start from scratch again and really discuss about your experience of your eye surgery. It would be great to have some other people also giving their experience, whether it's good, it's bad. I always do thing that most people who actually come here and write in the forum maybe also complain. So I think there are more people who will complain, who will write in this comment section, than people that, you know, where the surgery went well, which is very logical. And I do really feel very bad for the people who have had issues. And that's why I always tell everybody who is willing to do this surgery, just do this surgery after visiting a couple of doctors, like 3 or 4 specialists. And if in any case one of the doctors is telling you that your eyes are not suitable to do this operation or this surgery, just don't do it. It means that there is a specific reason, and if they do see a reason why you should not do this surgery, they will just tell you right in your face. And it does not make any sense to go and find another doctor who is willing to do it, because maybe you might bump into complications after you've done the surgery. That's it. Short and not short little update of my eye implants. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it some comments up. Subscribe, because I will do more updates. It's not going to be right away. It might be in 1 year from now and in 2 years. So we get a time lapse of review of 4 years from the surgery up to 4 years post-operation. So let me know if you need more information. If there is some very interesting questions, I might just, you know, make a new video earlier. So depending on my comments that I get here in the comments section in this video. Thanks for watching, and hopefully if you do the surgery, everything works out for you. We'll see you soon again, at least with other videos from other stuff on my channel. See you. Bye-bye.